It is time for another update on the rig. So one small thing, the rig kept dying on me, and I noticed that the negative terminal I had was melting. And the way that I had it was I had a much thinner wires than these ones here, and I had all three of the IBT2s, the motor drivers, running into one of the cord, so it was basically 3 to 1 into the negative terminal, and it was just too much amperage and melted the wire. So I got thicker gauge and ran all three of them individually, and now I've had no problems with the IBT2 shutting off. Also, this motor doesn't heat up nearly as much as it used to, so that's excellent. Now it used to get really hot in gameplay, even though it felt like it shouldn't, and so I'm not sure if running the 1 to 3 was in order to get power to the furthest IVT2, it had to run through this one. I'm not sure, but that fixed that problem, so that's amazing. Other than that, we now have a new bit of structure over here. And this bit of structure allows me to do this. I now have a door. So it makes getting into the side of the motion rig so much easier now. And essentially, since this throttle is so heavy, this is the Thrustmaster A10 throttle. It's all metal. It is very, very heavy. I went through several iterations of the hinges. I first tried to go with a single hinge down here, bought real flimsy ones, didn't think about the weight and the lever arm, and that weight is at the very end of that lever arm, so it magnifies it, and just crushed the first one. Then I went and got this hinge and thought it was going to be beefy enough, and it bent and warped it. I'm not sure if you can tell, but it bent and warped that hinge. So then I went back and got an even beefier one. And this one is probably beefy enough to just do by itself. But with movement and stuff, it just didn't make sense to just do it by itself. So added a vertical post, and then added this piece here to tie into that vertical post and tie into the door arm, if you will. It's an arm, if you will. And that's just held in with 2 screws there. The vertical post is held in with pocket screws there, and then 2 more in the back. And then that hinge and this hinge are mounted and in line, so that way it opens, it doesn't bind or anything. And then I just have a brace to brace the vertical brace, because there's going to be a lot of tension pulling that this way, a lot of weight pulling it that way. So put that brace in there, and now I have a door. So whenever I want people to try my motion sim, the biggest problem was having them try and get in and get around, have their butt slide around the throttle and step up onto it. So I still need to build, I'm going to build like a little ladder platform or something, because that's still a big step, and you have to, when you get in, you have to step over this beam. You have to put your foot in that place there. So you stand next to it and then come up over into it. It's still pretty difficult to get in, but now it's a lot easier. You can essentially just turn around and slide and put your butt on there, and then slide up into the seat. Makes it a lot easier, whereas you couldn't do that before. So that is the latest update. Also, I upgraded all of the potentiometer mounts to GT2 pulleys and belts, and the same thing on the front motors. There we go. Same thing on the front motors. Get the GT2 pulleys and the belts. The Parallel IBT2s I didn't think were working well, but again, that was just because it was actually two things. I replaced that breadboard, the little white board that's right there. I replaced that because the other one was making the potentiometers freak out. It was jittery, it was a lot of noise, they weren't very clean. So replace that, and then this motor here was still failing, and I swapped the IBT2s. Those IBT2s right there are the ones for that motor, so I swapped them back around because I found out putting the heat sinks on top of the chips is not as good as keeping them on the bottom. And then if you put thermal paste between the bottom of the board and the heatsink, it performs even better. So I did that for both of those since those kept dying, and then I found out it was the negative terminal to the battery. That 3-to-1 junction just really screwed it up. So replace that, and I haven't had a single issue so far. So now we're gonna see how it runs with this added weight. So I've essentially added the weight of this 2x4, this 2x4, this 2x4, and this 2x4, along with those two hinges and the hardware, the screws that go into it, along with the latching hardware up the front. So I don't think that's a lot of weight, but again, it is a lot of weight to just one side that was already the heaviest side because of that thing, and I am actually moving this further out, whereas it was normally connected to this 2x4. I've now connected it to the outside of this 2x4, which moves it out the thickness of this 2x4, which makes it outboard weight, which is not fantastic. Plus it's asymmetric outboard weight. So we will do more testing, see how this does, but I felt it's really necessary for this. You really do need to have a door in order to get in on that side. So that's pretty much the latest update.